Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another of my shorter, or hopefully, my shorter retrospective reviews. And this time I'm going to be taking a look at Badcube's Brawny. Now, this was prompted by seeing that it's due for reissue relatively soon. And I know a lot of people have maybe not been able to get hold of Fans Toys Hunk, or just decided against it and want this guy. So I thought I'd take a look at my copy, which has now been consigned to alt mode in my alt mode display. But anyway, let's just have a quick look at the box. This is the 2017 reissue, which came with a few additional things that were originally included in the Quint journal set. So it does have a few things that weren't with the original release. But just to give you obviously a quick look at the box there. Got some decent artwork on the back there, has his tech specs, etc. But other than that, fairly typical and unremarkable Badcube box. Although I do like the distinctive way they do their boxes, with the two-tone and, in the figures coloured, etc. Anyway, that's enough of the box. Let's get Brawny out and we'll have a look at what comes inside the package itself. Okay, so here he is in his clamshell. And I'll just pick him up so you can get a better look. There you go. He comes in alt mode, as you can see. And there you have a couple of additional things as well. You have a gas tank to go on the back and also a drill accessory. Let's just get this off so that you can get a better look. There we go. That's going to fall out, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, I suppose it's good a time as any to show you this. This is the drill accessory from that one episode where he used that one thing, as is one with a lot of these figures. And let's just pop him out anyway, because there's no point keeping him in the plastic, is there? Let's get a proper look at him in alt mode. Okay, so there he is. Obviously I've had this for a while, so I have sticked him up. And this little gas canister here, it just clips onto the back there to complete the vehicle mode. He says it just clips onto the back, as it then refuses to clip onto the back. What's going on? Oh, if I put it the right way up, that would help, wouldn't it? There we go. So yeah, that's Brawny in his alt mode. It's not G1 accurate in terms of toon or toy, but it's fairly representative of the character, and it looks okay. It is quite a lightweight figure, Brawny. It's very plasticky. There's no die cast in this fella at all, and yeah, it's not the most expensive feeling figure in hand, but again, it's solid enough. It doesn't ever feel like it's going to break on you. I like the colour scheme, obviously. Slightly more military green than maybe Brawn was in the show. He was more of an olivey colour, but it looks pretty good with the yellow, and as I say, fairly representative of the character, if not completely accurate to the animation model. So yeah, I guess alt mode, that it is what it is. It doesn't really have any gimmicks, although other than this, as I said, you get this piece. I think that just pops in like that. So there you go. He can now replicate that scene where he was drilling under the ocean. And the physics of that episode will forever be lost on me, much like most things G1, it has to be said. Let's bring in a couple of other bits you get as well with this set. And this is the sort of stuff you get with some of it you get with the Quint journal add-on. So you have this was not included originally. This is obviously, it's supposed to be Megatron's fusion cannon. I mean, it bears a passing resemblance, but not really. It's not really very accurate to the show, but this obviously comes into play more in alt mode. Although, if memory serves, I think you might even be able to mount this you can attach this. Oh, if I'd actually done that properly, you can attach this piece to here like that, and then you can mount the cannon on there should you so desire. As I say, it's I suppose it is feature play, isn't it? It's not particularly great, but it looks all right, I guess. And then the other two bits I will show off a little bit more in robot mode. They are here, obviously, but we'll get to it. We'll get to them then. So yeah, I don't think it's a terrible looking figure in alt mode. Yeah, Brawn isn't the most inspired alt mode anyway. So, right, that's probably enough of that. Let's get him transformed up for the main event, shall we? Okay, and here we are back in robot mode. Actually, that's one of the transformations I probably could have done on camera. It wasn't terribly frustrating. There's a few bits and pieces that don't like tabbing in quite as well as I would like, but by and large, it's not too bad. But yeah, maybe check out MGo's video for the transformation instructions, as that's not my bag. Anyway, here he is in bot mode. I have deliberately left this fist in for a reason, which I will go through in a bit. Yeah, just give you a quick 360. Obviously, you know, first impressions. Not that this is a first impressions review, but I guess when you look at the figure, you notice immediately there's some hollowness. It's very much an old design, isn't it? This figure has a pretty big backpack there. You can see proportionally it's not really akin to the Masterpiece. I say Masterpiece, sorry, the third-party Brawn, Masterpiece scale Brawn in terms of hunk. But it's a good interpretation of the character, and I think that's the thing about this. It's an interpretation of Brawn. It's not slavish to the animation model. You know, Brawn's a very beefy character in my mind, or should be, but you know, this actually looks like a much more of a bruiser than Fans Toys version, and indeed than he did in the cartoon. And certainly the G1 toy was quite puny, really, wasn't he, with his hook hands and things like that, and skinny legs. But this guy actually looks like he could punch a wall down with one hit. But you know, if you're going for toon accuracy, maybe not up your street. I can see why. But if you're, you know, again, if you can't get hold of the Fans Toys version, or if indeed, you know, the complete accuracy or slavish accuracy to toon aesthetics isn't your bag, then this is definitely something that you could take a look at. Let's just show you the reason why I left that fist in. It's obviously because before we had this little Acetylene Torch add-on which he uses in the More Than Meets the Eye episode, and that just clips on to this nub that sticks out here. He says, if we can actually get it on. But anyway, that's it. It's you know, nothing special, and again, it's just, I suppose it is nice to have these things, you know, these little add-ons that were in one episode. But you know, it looks all right, but again, not completely accurate to the show, and you know, the character's so different looking from the animation model that you're not really going to be using him for toon accurate Brawn anyway, are you? Let's just show you one other thing that's quite neat about this guy. Is this gas tank here. Now that comes in two halves, and what you can do is pull that out, and that stows his gun, and then the gun unfurls to become, you know, his recognisable blaster, and that just fits in via the usual tab in the palm method. Although I do quite like the Badcube ones because they do fit in pretty well. They stay firm, secure, and they don't sit at an angle, which a lot of the Masterpiece ones do, and actually quite a lot of third-party ones do. Now, you're probably noticing as I manipulate him some of the things I'm going to talk about in a second that irk me. But just to give you a view of him here, you know, he looks quite good, quite beefy. As I say, you could also have this fusion cannon held in exactly the same way with the tab in the palm sort of effect. And also the last thing I didn't mention is this alternate face, which is more of a screaming, shouting face. We got two similar faces actually between Badcube and Fans Toys. I think they both had neutral faces and screaming faces. Whereas I preferred the screaming face on Fans Toys, I actually think that the neutral face on this one suits this mould slightly better. Anyway, in terms of articulation, he's pretty good. He has very, very stiff ratchets in his shoulders, as you can see. Decent range of motion out there. Bicep swivel and curl there. Very deep bicep bend. The head, I don't think I mentioned, did I? That's on a swivel, but and it can look up, but it does expose a lot of his neck. But it's not as limited by some versions of Brawn, with the back panel being that little bit further back, so you can get quite a good bit of range of motion out of that. Obviously it doesn't really have any hand articulation, no individually articulated fingers, but he does have wrist articulation, which is good. And he has a fair amount of waist articulation, you know, you can get a good range of motion on that. And it does even sort of have an ab crunch if you utilise this weird joint here. So you could kind of bend him over with that. I don't know if you can see that, but it's on a hinge, and it's supposed to sit like that. But you could sort of utilise it to bend him forward like that if you wanted. Legs, again, they can go up to here and back to there. Have the usual thigh swivel, not too much, but enough. And then a fairly deep knee bend, at least get 90, just over 90 there. And he has, you know, toe pivot and ankle rocker as well, so you can get some decent poses out of him. The one thing you may have noticed, as I said, as I'm manipulating him, is that a lot of this upper assembly, it has a tendency to become disengaged. Now this is all held in place, it's locked in here. It all compresses and locks in, but I find that it does tend to come untabbed, which is a bit of a pain when you're trying to manipulate him, particularly because he has some quite stiff joints here. And obviously if that's not tabbed in that securely and these arms are very stiff, you do have a tendency to pull them out, sorry. But I suppose it's a fairly minor quibble. Another minor quibble is that these side panels do tend to come untabbed as well when you're manipulating him, so you're forever kind of pushing them back in. They don't clip in quite as well as I'd like. But I'll just stand him up straight there so you can get another look at him. And you know, I think he looks the part. Again, his proportions are a little bit odd, maybe. Or maybe it's just because I'm used to the Fans Toys version now, and obviously the animation model had very long legs and a squat body, but he looks almost a little bit dumpy to me. But you know, as I said, more of a bruiser than the Fans Toys version, so I quite like him. And he was my Brawn for many years until I was able to get the Fans Toys version, and you know, I think he has a place in people's collections, as I say, but not for me now, because I am very toon centric. But looking at him here, you know, I think he's a good substitute or alternate if you're not into that Sumbo aesthetic. So anyway, that's probably enough about him. As I said, this is just a quick look at it, at the character, at the figure. It is due to be reissued fairly soon from a number of retailers, so if you're interested, keep an eye out for that one. I will maybe come back and do a few more of these retrospective reviews. As I've said, it just, whenever the mood takes me, I tend to throw one together when I haven't got a proper review on the horizon. But that's enough for me from this for this video. Until next time, take care everyone, and I'll catch you later.